Good evening. Thank you all for being here. It's nice to have a full house. At this time, I'll ask the City Clerk, Beth Davis, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Pam Smithwright.
Here.
Commissioner Larry Maglinger.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mark Caslen.
Here.
Commissioner Bob Glenn.
Here. Thank you. At this time, we'll have the invocation and pledge. Please stand if you're able. Please pray with me. Our Heavenly Father, we gather tonight with gratitude and graciousness for all of the blessings that we have. We really ask that you continue to bless us in a manner of which you become accustomed. We ask that you keep us in your mind and give us eyes to see the best in people, a heart that can forget the bad, and a mind that can forget the worst. And may the blessings of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be amongst us and remain with us always. Amen. Amen. I
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. At this time, item 4 on the agenda is Owensboro Health Annual Update. Mark Marsh, President and CEO. Please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Mark Marsh, CEO of Owensboro Health, and address is 4119 Tambark Place, Owensboro, Kentucky.
Thank you.
If it's okay, Mayor, Commissioners, I'd love to introduce to begin with. First off, thank you for this evening and allow us to come and speak to the group. We appreciate everything you do, and hopefully you'll hear a great report. But I'd like to make a quick introduction. Our Chairman of the Board, we're blessed with soon to be 16 great board members. But the Chairman of the Board, who I lean on very heavily, very engaged board, but I'd like to make an introduction, if that's okay, of Gavin Roberts and let him make some opening remarks. So thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening. Thank you for having us for our State of the Hospital address. Healthcare is facing some headwinds right now. A lot like a lot of other industries, but healthcare is we're facing quite a few. Our mission at Owensboro Health is to exist to heal the sick and to improve the health of communities we serve. Our vision is our desire to become a regional center of excellence by actively listening and partnering to meet the individual healthcare needs of those we serve. Going back to my first statement, there's no other administration that I would love to serve with than the one we currently have. They are tooled and they are ready to serve this community and this health care system to face those headwinds. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark, and he's going to go through where we're at currently, but I can promise you that there's a lot of good things to come, and I'm excited to be in this position to watch them do what they're going to do. Thank you.
Let's see if we can get this up on the screen. Here we go. Start with the mission statement. So first, let me just say thanks to Gavin for the leadership. We are blessed to be able to serve this great community and what you're going to see, this entire western region of the state. And we know healthcare touches many of us. The last 3 years have been certainly a big change in all of our business, all of our industries, and none of them any more than healthcare. And so, again, thank you for allowing us tonight, and thank you for allowing us to serve each of you. This is a community hospital. So let me just start by saying every head coach has great leaders around them, and I am beyond blessed with having some of the smartest individuals, healthcare leaders around me every day, and that runs all the way through our team members. But I won't go to name them all by name, but many of the senior leaders back here, some have been with the organization for many years, some are new, but very blessed with a great group of talented individuals who really live out that mission every day. And certainly that is our goal. You heard Gavin say that, but really it is to improve the health and the lives that we get the chance to serve every day. And so thank you for that, and thank you for hearing me out this evening. So let me just walk you through. I'm going to share a couple facts with you, kind of where we're at on the journey. on healthcare. And so what you're going to see here is just first to begin with is just the map, just kind of shares the geographical footprint, the region that we serve, nearly 600,000 lives. So obviously, Owensboro, Davis County is the big brother here, but ultimately, there's a lot of counties that we serve that really depend upon Davis County for health care. And so we look at that every day and how we best meet those needs. Along with that, you're going to see some of the statistics there. These are just some quick statistics of what we're comprised of between the 3 acute care facilities, our health plexes, and the other various aspects that allow us to provide that great care. And you're going to see the numbers here of nearly 100,000 ER visits and other clinic every year. And so again, 2,500 births this past year. Again, we're birthing a lot of folks here in the western part of the state, and we're blessed, and women's health is a key priority for us. But again, these are some of the statistics, kind of where we're at. Along with that, as I shared, we now have nearly 5,500 team members. Still think, I believe it still, if it holds true today, we're the largest employer west of Louisville in Kentucky. And so again, we're blessed, and I can tell you what, it's an honor to serve alongside each of these team members every day. Many of them, many of them, and talking about commitment, people who live out the mission. And we've asked a lot of our healthcare workers, you can imagine these last 3 years, it's been really hard. As Gavin said, a lot of headwinds. What they do every day, both the clinical folks as well as the other folks, really stand to serve the best they can, and it's been a very challenging time in healthcare. But along with that, a couple key statistics, you can see almost 100,000, 93,000 ER visits. In many ways, that's your front door. That's the first time people will get to experience a healthcare. And good or bad, we spend a lot of time to make sure that's a great experience, both from a qualitative nature, but also from a patient experience. And we're working every day to make that better and better for each and every individual who comes into one of our Owensboro Health facilities. Lastly, I'll just share, we've set goals, and I'll talk about this a little at the end, some of the goals we have. Access is a big thing. We know that during COVID, folks could not get into healthcare. And that really hurt us because we saw people who were delaying care. And we know when you delay care or you access it through other means, sometimes that did not lead to great outcomes. And so that access is really important. That's something we've put in place, both from a primary care, preventative care, as well as our specialists. And so that you see that 63%. That's above the national benchmark. It may seem low, but be able to get people in within 14 days to see a primary care physician or specialist. And so again, that is something we've put a lot of emphasis. We work with our medical staff, our offices, and so we've made a lot of strides in that area. So again, some very big numbers as you're going to see there, but again, this service is a big region. Please stop me if there's questions along the way. If there's something, feel free to stop me. Some of the next ones you're going to see, certainly just the economic impact of what we provide there. Some very large numbers there. You can see just the payroll itself and what's happening to the salaries, and certainly the growth. And obviously, some of that we grew. We brought on another hospital in that year, so down in Grayson County, Twin Lakes Regional Medical Center. And so excited to have them as a great partner with us. But certainly payroll's no small feat there. Nearly going from $403 million to $460 million in payroll and salaries to those team members. I'll say this, one of the things statistically is we know, along with that, recruiting physicians. And that is one of the things we've worked really hard. We've brought in 32 new providers this past year to service the region. And so statistically, Merritt Hawkins came out with a white paper study. And so for every physician you bring in, that brings in $3.2 million of economic impact to the region. Roughly 17 jobs between direct and indirect jobs, positions. Every physician we bring in, again, $3.2 million of revenue and 17 new jobs. And so those are really important. But again, we do it because we want to meet those healthcare needs. There's the 5,500, once again, team members that we have. Certainly, the key point of that is because of Davis County, the size of that, 50% or greater than 50% of our workforce or our team members actually reside here in Davis County. And so we know that, and certainly with all the clinics and all the hospitals and things we do, but again, a majority of those team members actually reside here in Davis County. As you can see, $4.9 million in Owensboro, Davis County, occupational taxes paid. Again, a lot of dollars through the team members, certainly through the services we provide, and we couldn't do it without the great partnership, both with the city and the county. And so again, a lot of what we're doing here, and you'll see throughout, is really how we align, how we partner with each other, right, to improve those lives. We can't do it alone. So a lot of the initiatives we're doing and you're seeing throughout is through these great partnerships, which ultimately contributes to those occupational taxes. 14.8 million provider taxes paid in support of 49.3 million in Medicaid spending. We know Medicaid is a big piece of what we do, Medicare, Medicaid, a large number of our constituents, and so Medicaid is very important for us. But you can see the amount of spending that's there. And then ultimately, more than 232 million in spending in the local economy by employees in OHRH. So again, not sure exactly what percentage of the budget that represents, but again, that's a large dollar amount. And so we like to keep things locally. First and foremost, we want patients to be able to receive local care. You see the campaign, the things we talk about through these 17 counties, through our regions. I think it's only fair for patients, their families, to be able to care for safely with great quality in their local communities. But in addition with that, it does create jobs. It creates economic wealth and things that we all rely upon. And so we're blessed to be able to provide those services here locally. These are just some of the statistics. Some of the fun things that we get to do is certainly as we partner with the community, we think about our grants. We think about the importance of the hospital, the foundation. But I had the pleasure, one of the greatest things that we get to do every year is through our grant program. And so you guys are well aware of that. And so we look at what we call our social determinants, those community needs, whether it's housing, whether it's food, whether it's shelter, whether it's mental health. But we find these great nonprofits throughout our region who do extraordinary work that without some of these programs, we wouldn't be able to impact the lives that we have. But to hear the testimonials and see what happens with some of these programs is unbelievable. And so most recently, you can see the combined the last 2 years, nearly $1.2 million given out in grants. Most recently, our team went through a very thorough, very rigorous process, and of 40 nominees, we selected 25 recipients and be able to have them and do a celebration that night to award them with over $500,000 of grants that helps fund and support their mission is something we get a chance to be a part of. And we see the impact, and so we can consider that a blessing, truly, and be able to do that. Along with these, not to share all these statistics, these are things, as we say, we do a community health needs assessment. It looks at those various social determinants, and so we're trying to be a great partner, a great steward to improve those lives and those measures. And I think we've been very successful. You can see that there. And so along with that, we're out listening. We don't have all the answers. So we do a lot of listening sessions. We've done more than 21. We have plenty more scheduled. Really understand the impact and what these agencies are all about. How can we align with you? And so you'll see just most recently, we've done more than 21 listening sessions with many of these agencies over the past 6 months. And so honored to be there. It makes you very proud to be a part of this community because you see the great work that's being done. You hear it. And when I go and I visit other communities adjacent to here, people talk about the great sense of pride and the great things that are happening in Owensboro. And we're just glad to be a part of that. Obviously, every great team's got to have a plan. It's got to have a roadmap to where we're going. And so this roadmap, this was a vision that we spent a lot of time with our board over the past year and a half to really develop what we call our 6 strategic imperatives. These are our pillars. And these are things that I won't go through verbatim, but as you think about healthcare and as you touch things, as you try to improve the lives, improve the communities, each of these I'll go through, not the various tactics, but a lot of work's going on behind the scenes. But first and foremost, what's your foundation? Got to have great champion quality and safety, right? You're building trust. Healthcare is so much built on trust. But you got to trust, you're providing great high quality care in a very safe environment. Can't do it without great team members. Every one of our businesses in here have been impacted by workforce, right? So there's a lot with that. We work really hard to recruit people, but work even more diligently about retention. So workforce is very important. So each of these you can go through: physician loyalty, partnering with our communities, driving growth and innovation, and then serving individuals with excellence. These are our guiding pillars. These are the things that we focus every day. When we go to make a decision with our senior team, with our team members, we think about what are the implications? How is it going to impact these pillars? And I think as you do that, we have structure with the big organization. If not, create a lot of silos. I think this has made us stronger. Our results that we see now with these goals that we set last year, whether it's on our quality initiatives, whether it's outcomes, whether it's our patient experience, whether it's recruiting more doctors, because of this vision, and we're united. We share this throughout all the hospital, throughout the community. We want people to be informed. We want people, once again, to understand our vision, where we're headed. But because of this, I think this is why we're on a great journey, and I'll talk about being a top 100 health system and what that means. So again, this is our guiding principles. So what's that mean? So where are we headed? So what's the 2-year look? As Gavin said, if every business, I wish I could forecast and project 2 years, more or less, 2 months. Things are happening so quickly in our businesses, particularly with healthcare. We know that you've seen it in your individual healthcare endeavors. But as I think about recruitment, I've talked about recruitment of great specialists. These specialists, we want to make sure people have great care here. You know, whether it's talking about cardiology and neuroscience and those things, you know, minutes and seconds matter. So we want to make sure when you need those healthcare needs that we're there to stand ready to be able to provide for you and your family. And so a lot of efforts around the specialists, a lot of recruitment going on. We want to expand, we want to enhance and build upon the great things we have. Increase access for visits. Our mobile clinics, you're going to see a lot more. We learned a lot during COVID about telemedicine, right? Some of you may have had a telemedicine visit, right? And so there's a lot of things that we can do. So we have to use our resources even better today than ever before. There's no secret, just like in workforce. We're not producing enough physicians. There's a reason why we love our nurse practitioners, but we don't have as many family practice or primary care physicians as we once did, and we're not going to. There's a lot of reasons for that, not here to debate that, but we have to find ways to be more efficient, more streamlined. So you're going to see a lot more in mobile, ambulatory, virtual visits, things that are happening, what they call AI or artificial intelligence. So we're getting smarter, and we have to adapt, and we have to adjust. And so we're excited about where we're going with the mobile visits. You're going to see these mobile vans, and I'm going to touch on it because it's really going to touch on not just for clinic visits, but you're going to hear us talk about this innovation center, about growing our own workforce. And I'm so excited, and I wish I had plenty of time here, and I'd bring actually the subject matter expert, Bart Darrell, who is leading that program. Many of you probably know Bart from his former life, but I can tell you the excitement and what we hear every day being out in these 17 counties to be able to now build our own base and workforce and create the enthusiasm once again amongst these young individuals who are trying to find out what are those pathways, what can I do with family members, and what this innovation center is going to mean for our region. Guys, there are eyes all over the state and the country, and I've shared this with you. We had our national leaders come in here most recently, and Congressman Guthrie, Senator Rand Paul, Senator Mitch McConnell, they are all aware of this. There are eyes in D.C. watching this. So this is a game changer. This is something we believe through the collaboration with the 10 universities, working with the 40-plus high schools in Western Kentucky, we're going to grow 1,000 more healthcare workers per year, 1,000 per year. And we stand ready for that. And I can tell you the enthusiasm, what Bart comes back every day as he gets to talk with these guidance counselors and high school superintendents, they're ready to say, when can we get it started? So there's a lot there that's happening there. Transformation of the business center on Frederica, but more importantly, the connectivity into the high schools. And so you will see that. And so a lot of efforts, all the presidents with each of those universities are directly involved. And so you're going to be hearing a lot more about that in the coming weeks and months. Just our regional development strategies, not going to read through every one of these. You're going to see a lot of these really get down to partnerships. A couple of them I'll talk about is really part of those listening sessions is working with our employers. Healthcare is such a big piece of our employers. Really understanding what those needs are because they want to provide those great benefits. They want to do everything they can to make sure they retain their great employees. So we have a lot going on where we're working directly with those employers to bring services right there to their industries. So a lot of innovative things that we're going to be able to do that's going to help them improve their lives. And so a lot happening around that piece of it. Obviously, the new technology advancements. There's things every day that we're coming out, guys, between what we would never have thought, and I call it kind of Jetsons era, is if you all remember that. And so we're out there in this artificial intelligence, the things that we're going to be able to do to provide care at the home site, the things that are being tested right now for heart failure, COPD, other illnesses that people have, we'll be able to care for those people safely with great outcomes right in their home. So a lot happening in that as well. And so really, the last one I'll say is the community, the partnership. Expansion in our neighborhoods, in our communities. We're looking for ways to certainly to grow those services, to really be a great partner. Part of those listening sessions, we're really understanding what those needs were, to be a true partner out there, both from a physical standpoint, and we can't build a new building on every block, but if there's ways that we can do the line and look at some of these virtual things, some mobile clinics, things that we can bring, we know it will improve the overall health of the communities that we serve. And we take that mission statement very seriously. That's a question we ask every day when we think about things that we're going to do. That's the question we ask ourselves as senior leaders. So excited about that. Obviously, capital needs, we have large capital needs and requests, and as Russ, as our CFO says, we have a big appetite, but unfortunately, healthcare is getting a little more challenged. We know reimbursement and those things are happening from a more federal standpoint, Medicaid and elsewhere. It's challenging. Obviously, the cost, much like any of our business, between the supply chain, but more importantly, the workforce. You guys know that. You guys read it, and I'm sure it's the same as you. We have fewer workers to support every one of our businesses. And so it costs us a lot more today because of nursing and other things because we haven't produced enough. That's what excites me about the Innovation Center. But we've got answers. There's things that we're going to solve for. We're not looking for Frankfurt or for D.C. to solve that. We need to do that. And through these great partnerships and through these collaborations we have here locally, we're blessed that we're going to come back with some great outcomes to continue to progress and advance things here locally. And I'll just say, at the end of the day, we're on a journey. The journey is being a top 100 health system. One of the other great leaders we have here is Dr. Fran Dufresne. Dr. Dufresne is our CMO, and again, I can't name every single one, but who takes the lead every day to make sure to ensure that we have the highest, safest quality programs everywhere across the board. And we're doing that in a very constructive, collaborative manner with our physicians, with our communities guys, because we want you to trust this is your hospital. When you come into Owensboro Health, wherever it may be, we want to make sure you receive the best care possible. And we are committed to that. So it's not about volume, it's not about the dollars, it's about providing great, high quality, safe care. So thank you for allowing us to come. Quick summary here, I can assure you the hospital stands in great footing. We make very good decisions. We're financially very sound. But again, at the same point in time, things are changing so rapidly, so we have to be great stewards of the things that we've been given. But thank you for what you do, your support. Every single one of you, I feel like I've gotten to know, and I appreciate your ongoing support of Owensboro Health. Your support means so much to us and our 5,000 plus team members. And thank you for this evening, and thank you for allowing us to come and speak. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions? Commissioner Glenn?
The University of Southern California County Hospital has a resident program for its new doctors in street medicine. We have a significant homeless population problem in our community. These people are all over the place. They're not just in shelters. Have you given any thought, or has that ever been a conversation that your leadership team has had regarding looking at their model and considering doing that, particularly since you're going to do this training facility?
Yeah. Commissioner Glenn, a great question. So absolutely, so part of this mobile clinic is going to allow us, we know that we have plenty, we have our family medicine residency program, right? You guys know that, and so that's 6, and now we're up to 19 individuals. We want to retain a lot of those. But yeah, these mobile clinics are going to allow us to do these things, to take things and have resources out there. If I could show you the picture of what's going to happen, these are virtually hospital or clinics on wheels, where we can go out to these areas, underserved areas. So absolutely, this you're thinking right there. Thank you for teeing that one up. But yeah, we believe through these mobile clinics, we're going to be able to meet some of those needs and certainly care for those folks who are in need.
Okay. And the other question I've got is the hospital, before you became the leader, did a lot of Cooper Clayton smoking cessation classes, obesity and dietary training classes for average citizens. And you don't hear as much about that anymore. So what about the health education component of serving the community? Because those problems haven't gone away.
Absolutely, and they're not going to go away. So those are those social determinants we talked about. Absolutely. Actually, just had a meeting here, not this afternoon, with some of our leaders talking about those as how we expand those. And we know COVID, I'm not going to use COVID as an excuse, but it made it very challenging and some things we could do. But now that COVID is gone, we're seeing more face-to-face encounters. So yeah, we know. Hate to say it, in Western Kentucky, we still smoke, we love our bacon, we love those things, so they're not going away, but we need to find ways to complement that. So you're going to see more of those, yeah, absolutely going forward.
Okay, and I just have one last question. So COVID, according to a study I just read, 500 Americans a day are dying of COVID. That's 180,000 Americans a year. We all think we're at the end of it. Look at the room. And so my question is, are we prepared if it flanches back and this becomes a pandemic climate again?
That's why I bring the smart people with me. Dr. Dufresne, if you don't mind, he's best equipped.
Good afternoon, everyone. So to answer your question, yes, we are prepared. That is the one thing that COVID has really taught us, is to stay prepared. So across the country, it really caught everybody short. As you know, we all had supply issues and other issues that we had to overcome. And now that we have, yes, we have a great plan in place that if this were to come back as a pandemic, what you said is exactly correct. It's not gone. Even at the hospital, we still have COVID numbers. They're small, much smaller than they were before. And we're really hoping for it to be more like the flu in a year or two to come. But I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But it's much better controlled.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you both.
Commissioner Caslen.
Yes, Mr. Marsh. I know whenever you were here about a year ago that you had had a huge shortage of nurses and was having a lot of trouble with retention of nurses. Has that turned around in the right direction now, or are we still short of nurses? The retention part, is that working out better?
I'll say, great question. We've fairly stabilized. Absolutely, there's still a shortage throughout the country, and a lot of reasons. We won't go into that. So I'm going to say we're right in the middle, 30 numbers. So 35 will fluctuate up and down, very strategic in nature. I'll say this, we're much less than the contiguous counties around us. So the other areas of our size, and there's some benefits, us being a little more protected, isolated from big suburban markets, but I can tell you some of the health systems still are using 8 to 10% of their workforce, and the nursing are in contract or traveling nurses. So.
Also, you talked about the Innovation Center. Has that opened yet, or when is the projected opening date for that?
So projected opening will be the fall. So the teams, so I mentioned Bart Darrell, the presidents, their curriculum, so there's a lot of components to that. Some of the aspects we'll be able to be teaching some things probably this summer, but we're going to say by the fall, we just now we're going through the plans to renovate the business center. So in the fall, we anticipate will be the first time you actually see the instructional things happening from there into the high schools. But again, that's all being worked out as we speak.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Maglinger?
Yes. You know, I've seen some great improvements in our hospital here lately. What you do for our nonprofits, what you give back to our community, I'm really grateful. Thank you for your leadership and the board and decisions that you've made to grow. And so I want to thank you very much for everything that you've done.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith-Wright? Turn your mic on, please. Thank you.
Thank you. We've talked about this before, and it's just something that just keeps going around in my head. And I know that good leaders or brilliant leaders always look ahead. And do you see that there may be like a satellite emergency room in another part of the city that people can get to the hospital quicker than having to go all the way across town? I mean, my husband was in that hospital, and they did an excellent job. I have no complaints, but I do think that we need a satellite emergency room in the West End or closer to the West End, where some of those people may not have money to get an ambulance or whatever, and time is of the essence. So just.
Boy, what perfect timing. So I'm fearful. Have you been talking to the real estate folks around here?
No, I talked to you.
I know that. I'm glad you said it. We literally, within the last few weeks, and so again, another great individual here. Philip Smith is our business development folks. So we've actually been meeting in the last month. We've got some space identified. I'll leave it at that. We don't want to see the price of that property go up overnight, but to your point, that's been something near and dear to our heart. We know that, and we know moving out and may not seem very far, but for some it's very far. Mm-hmm. That preventative care, that access, those things I shared. So there is something in the works. So I hope I'll be really careful. I say promise, but I feel really strong. In the next 6 months, you're going to see some activity happening around that in some of these areas, these underserved areas. And so we're working really diligently with that right now.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Mayor, am I allowed to ask a question, or did you all?
not yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's okay.
I was in healthcare for 50 years and had staff privileges at OH and Owensboro Davis County Hospital, you know, and St. Mary's, St. Vincent, all the places, and was involved in trying to figure out where Owensboro fit with Deacon at St. Mary's, Perry County, Ohio County. And I'm convinced that the team you've put together is about as strong as I've ever seen. And I'm looking just very into the future and seeing more and more things happen that's going to make us so proud to have OH in our community. So thank you for your leadership. Good friends with a lot of people on that board and the doctors out there, and I'm very proud to have you here. And if there's anything we as a commission can do to further your enhancements of whatever you're doing, please don't hesitate to let us know.
We appreciate you and we value your partnership. You know that, so thank you.
Okay. Now, ma'am, do you have a question?
Yes, sir.
You have to go to the podium.
Okay.
And we'll allow one speaker for all of you. And please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mary Helen Nash. I live in Masonville, Kentucky. According to your information there, you're a recruiting specialist. For years now, and it's becoming more and more evident to me that we need it, we have needed geriatric doctors. And that has never happened. I was in the business for 20 years and I watched the medical doctors, the general practitioners, do not want this. Is there any thought of you all considering the specialty of geriatrics? Because I think we desperately need it. We've got an aging population. Just look around at the majority of us. A lot of us got gray hair. So that's my question. Are you ever going to consider going against the general practitioners and the medical doctors and actually bringing in some geriatric specialists?
Great question again. No, wonderful question. Fran, I don't want to state the wrong dates, but yeah, while Dr. Fran's come, we have recently recruited some geriatricians. So yes, they're en route. I'll say en route, but maybe you can talk a bit about the dates of what we're expecting.
Okay. So actually, we already have a geriatrician. He just finished his training, his fellowship. He's a family practice physician, but is really specializing in geriatrics. Practice physicians can refer patients to them to really help with things like medication and balance and falling. So we already have that. We have a second one that's hired, and he should be here in about another 6 weeks. Our goal ultimately is to have 4 geriatricians, so we'll have a full department. We're starting something called a geriatric service line so we can reach out to the communities and also serve those populations. So yes, that is already in the works. Also at the hospital, we have what's called the NISH program, and it's a nursing program where they go out for training, and they really focus on helping the elderly. And as you said, I have the white hair, so I'll eventually need that service myself. So yes, we are definitely building it up.
These are medical doctors.
Medical doctors. Both doctors right now are family medicine doctors, and then you do an extra year of training. In Grayson County, we have an internist who also did a geriatrics fellowship, and they're all board certified geriatricians. So we're really reaching out to the area that we serve.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yep.
Anybody else? Well, I guess you're off the hot seat.
All right, thank you. Another year. Thank you again for everything
Thanks.
you do. Thank
Appreciate you. I'll let the folks clear out before we move on. Okay, next item on the agenda is item 5A. I would like for you to consider the approval of minutes dated February 7 and February 14th, 2023. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion, deletions, or additions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5B is consider board appointments. Audubon Bond Harbor Area Neighborhood Alliance, reappoint Bryant Bell to a 2-year term. Effective March 9, 2023. Property Maintenance Code Enforcement Board, some guy named Jeff Sanford has agreed to fill the remainder of an unexpired term which ends July the 1st, 2023. He'll be replacing Dale Taylor. I'll make a motion to approve these appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, ordinance, second reading, please, Ms. Davis. This will be a roll call vote.
Ordinance 6-2023, an ordinance annexing to the city of Owensboro certain unincorporated territory in the county of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 155 Salem Drive, containing a total of 2.502 acres more or less, at the request of Crandall's Bypass LLC. Read for approval on second reading this 21st day of February, 2023.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
We did discuss this. City manager, have anything to add?
Nothing to add, Mayor, unless there are questions.
Okay. Any other discussion from the dais? Hearing none, well, then we'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Smithwright,
Aye.
Commissioner Maglinger,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Caslen,
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, item 8, municipal order, Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 10-2023, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement with Crandall's Bypass LLC, providing for the consensual annexation of the unincorporated property located in Davis County at 155 Salem Drive, containing a total of 2.502 acres more or less, and further providing that the city shall reimburse Crandall's Bypass LLC 100% of the total ad valorem, excluding school tax, net profits, and occupational tax revenues derived from the property over a designated 5-year period. Read for approval on one reading this 21st day of February, 2023.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve this municipal order. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just briefly, Mayor, thank you. This municipal order approves an annexation incentive for the Salem Drive annexation you just approved. This is our standard annexation incentive, with the property owner receiving a rebate of the general fund occupational, net profit, and property tax generated by the site for a period of 5 years. As I mentioned at our last meeting, the owner is developing 5 to 6 commercial units to lease on the property.
Thank you. Any other further discussion from the dais? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 8B, Ms. Day.
Municipal Order 11-2023, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a real estate purchase agreement for the acquisition of property located on Carter Road within the larger tract designated as 2808 West Parish Avenue, containing 3.55 acres more or less, for use in the York Ditch Stormwater Project. Read for approval on one reading this 21st day of February, 2023.
Finally, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, city manager, show them the stuff.
I'm happy to, Mayor. This municipal order authorizes the purchase of 3.55 acres on Carter Road, which will be the site of the stormwater basin to be constructed in the York Ditch Drainage Improvement Project. Purchase price for the property is $450,000. This acquisition was expected and planned, so funding for the property is included in the project budget, which has already been approved by the Board of Commissioners. As you can see on your screens, the area that we are purchasing is shaded in blue. Again, it's approximately 3.55 acres, and you can see its frontage there on Carter Road, and you can see there on the on the top of the screen, which would be the West Dallas Avenue and York Street, where it goes over behind the Kroger on Starlight Drive. To orient yourselves. Happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions from the dais? Commissioner Glenn.
So the area it's to my right, is obviously farmland. I've driven by there. If we needed more of that, do we have an option to have further discussion? I'm not saying we will, but.
We do not necessarily have an option. The property is essentially what we need for the project. The project is at a point in design where we are confirmed with the amount of property needed. We did have a very good discussion with the property owners who own the property to the north, and obviously this is being carved out or subdivided out of a larger parcel. It's about 18.45 acres, as I recall. So we're only taking 3.5. So there's about approximately 15 acres of the property remaining. Should the need arise, I'm sure the property owners would be happy to entertain more. But I think at this point, we feel pretty good about the acquisition being all that we'll need for the project.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, Mayor, one additional comment, since we're talking about it, but there is a public meeting for the project that will be held this Thursday, February 23rd at 5:30 p.m. at Father's House Church. That's the church formerly known as Good Shepherd, located at 3031 Biddle Road. We've notified the property owners. We've advertised in the newspaper and on social media, but wanted to make a public comment as well that the community is welcome to attend. Again, that's at 5:30 on Thursday at Father's House Church.
Okay. All right. No further discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8C, Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 12-2023, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for a Project Safe Neighborhoods funding grant through the U.S. Department of Justice in the amount of $24,095.40, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the Owensboro Police Department to purchase 3 outdoor Canon pole cameras, applicable licensing and data charges, for which no match is required. Read for approval on one reading this 21st day of February 2023.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve this municipal order. Could I have a second, please? Second. City Manager, do you have anything you'd like to discuss?
No, the clerk summarized that item perfectly.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 8C, Ms. Davis. All right.
Well, 9A.
9A. I'm on the wrong. Where's 9A? Oh, okay, 9A. There it is. I thought we.
Tricking me. Resolution 1-2023, a resolution opposing the passage of Senate Bill 50 and House Bill 50 relating to partisan local elections. Read for approval on one reading this 21st day of February 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve this. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion from the dais? City Manager?
Yes, Mayor. 2 companion bills have been filed in the State House of Representatives and State Senate, which would mandate all cities have partisan elections. Currently and historically, the City of Owensboro elections for mayor and commissioner have been nonpartisan. And this is overwhelmingly the case statewide, as 409 of 415 cities in Kentucky have nonpartisan elections, just like we do. Local government tends to deal with more practical and pragmatic issues, unlike more ideological considerations often encountered in Frankfort or Washington, D.C. Many cities in the Commonwealth have acted to voice their opposition to these mandated partisan elections. And similarly, if approved, this resolution is the Owensboro Board of Commissioners going on record to express your opposition to House Bill 50 and Senate Bill 50 mandating partisan elections.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, City Manager items.
Thank you, Mayor. First up, Director of Finance and Support Services Angela Waninger will present the January financial report.
Hi, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm here to give the January financial report for the general fund. So if you would refer to page 3 in your financial packet if you'd like to see more detail. So for the first slide, this will be for the month of January. Our actual revenues of $5,519,221 were higher than the budgeted revenues of $5,320,107. This results in a variance of $199,114. And this variance is primarily due to higher occupational, withholding, and net profits. Our next slide is the year-to-date general fund revenues for the 7 months ended January. The actual revenues of $43,293,238 were higher than budgeted revenues of $41,457,003 for a variance of $1,836,235. This variance is primarily due to higher property tax, occupational withholding, net profit, and insurance license fees. Our next slide is the expenditures for the general fund for the month of January. Our actual expenditures were $4,872,178, which was less than budgeted expenditures of $5,884,802 for a variance of $1,012,624. This variance is primarily due to timing in maintenance, outside services, and our contribution to OMU, and to savings in personnel due to vacancies. And our next slide is the year-to-date expenditures for the general fund. Our actual expenditures were $37,931,354, which were less than budgeted expenditures of $40,696,473, leaving us with a variance of $2,765,119. This variance is primarily due to timing in maintenance, outside services, and capital, and savings in personnel. And our last slide shows the city's monthly revenues and expenses and how cyclical they can be. As you can see on our chart, just how cyclical they can be in 7 months. This is the nature of finances at the city. Our expenses typically outpace revenues in the warmer months, as you can see on the chart, when the outdoor activities are in full swing. Likewise, we have months where revenues outpace the expenditures, such as in the months of October and November, as depicted in our screen with the green line, due to the collection of property taxes. I would like to also note that we budget accordingly. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Waniger. Any questions from the commission? Looks good. Okay. I'll make a motion to file this financial report. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is the personnel appointments. Tonight we have one new hire probationary status appointment, Brian Vallada, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to evidence collection technician with the police department effective February 27th and contingent upon successful completion of all post-offer pre-employment requirements. And then we have two appointments for regular status, which is those who have completed their probationary status and are becoming regular status employees. And they are Jordan Benson, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment to HVAC technician with the buildings department effective February 21st. And John Nance, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment to crew leader with the grounds department effective February 27th.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve these appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 10C, city manager comments.
A couple of comments, Mayor. First, since we just discussed the personnel issue, when we addressed the commission last week at the work session and we discussed the pay plan that we have recently completed, I failed to thank Josh Bachmeyer. And so that was a considerable amount of work for Josh. And so that was an oversight on my part, Josh. So my apologies for the oversight. It was a considerable amount of work, and it was very, very well done. So Josh's efforts are definitely appreciated. So I wanted to mention that publicly to acknowledge him. And then secondly, there's one issue that came up at our last meeting. As Mayor and Commissioners, you will recall at our last meeting, an individual spoke during public comments and made various allegations of mismanagement and improper decision-making regarding the closed legacy police and fire pension plan. Again, that's the old plan for former and retired police and firefighters, not the current retirement plan. These comments were frustrating to staff because despite repeated efforts, the person who made those allegations would not come to meet with us to discuss the issue. Finance Director, Support Services Director Angela Waninger is most closely involved with this pension plan, and she will address these false allegations.
Ms. Waniger.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Nate. I took notes as to some of the comments and concerns expressed by Mr. Hayden at our last meeting, and while it's unconventional to address questions like this at a commission meeting, we felt that we would address some of the concerns. I would like to preface before I get started that if there are any other concerns or questions or comments, I would strongly, very much stress to Mr. Hayden or anyone else who has concerns or questions to reach out and let's have a meeting where we can have collaboration, where we can look at reports together, because this is really not really the venue to do that.
Yes,
so.
Yes, it is. You're out of order. I'm Mike Lee. You want to leave? You want to phone me out? You want to leave? No. I'm going to tell you what you did. I think the minutes of the meeting. You're out of order.
So, thank you, Mayor. So the first comment that I had made a note of by Mr. Hayden, that he had expressed displeasure about a 2020 actuarial report. His comment was, why does it take 2 years after the report was made to get it to the pension board? So I apologize. I guess I didn't make my point clear during the Police and Fire Pension Board meeting, because I did state in that meeting, by that state statute, KRS 65.156, we can do that actuarial valuation once every 3 years. This fund is defunct, it's broke, and it is completely supported by the general fund. The Police and Fire Pension Board voted to do this actuarial valuation once every 3 years. So the last one we did was for fiscal 2020. I thought I made that point clear at the pension board meeting, but apparently I didn't make it clear enough. So what I do, I present this 2020 report at every pension board meeting to remind the board members and anyone in the viewing audience that is the KRS, and that was the decision voted on by the board. So I present that at every meeting, every year, to make that report available and to make sure there's no questions or concerns from the board or anyone else who might be attending the meeting. Now, while it seems to me that the comment insinuated there was not current data provided at the board meeting, I want to point out to the viewing audience that I also presented the unaudited financial statements, the most current ones at that point in time, for September 2022, as well as the year ended June 30, 2022. Unfortunately, the timing of our audit is such that the audit is not presented and approved to the City Commission prior to the closed pension board meeting. So the most recent audit that I had by our independent auditor was for the year ended June 30, 2021, which I presented at the closed pension board meeting. I asked if there were any questions or concerns, and if there were, I was happy. I think you had some questions, Mr. Hayden. I offered to meet with you at that pension board meeting, and I also offered to meet with you in an email, and you declined me on both. So I also said in the board meeting, that once the City Commission was presented the audit report by the independent auditor for the fiscal 22, that I'd be happy to make that report available to anyone who wanted that. I brought a copy with me here tonight if you would like that, Mr. Hayden. The second comment that I had made note of, that you had made a comment that the city of Owensboro was so broke they had to wait for years to get the pensions raised. So I just wanted to point out for clarification, the city was not broke, but that the pension fund was broke. Now, I started at the city in 2007, but according to my research and individuals I contacted, that there was the pension board in 98, 97, 98, in that time frame, chose to invest funds at a bank in equities, and that those funds were then lost on the market. So the city wasn't broke, but the pension fund was due to decisions made by that pension board at that time. I'd also like to add that the city infused $4 million of general fund monies into the pension fund back in 2006. The city also infused $200,000 in 2009. So I just wanted to point out that the city's been very supportive of this fund. Let's see, other comments. I know you made a comment about the widows and the minimums not getting the appropriate increases. Well, Mr. Hayden, we have given them every increase that the statute has directed. The statute says to allocate Social Security with a maximum of 5%, and that's a statute that we follow. And so the minimums have gotten that every single year. I'd also like to add that the fund is not actuarially sound. So by statute, this commission was not legally allowed to give the non-minimums a raise. I'd also like to point out that these elected officials back in 2012 went to Frankfurt and proposed a bill allowing the city commission to give the non-minimums increases. So because of the elected officials from the city of Owensboro did that, the non-minimums now get increases. So I wanted to point that out to the viewing audience as well. Another comment I had, why would a mayor, a police chief, and finance director vote to accept minutes they knew were inaccurate? Well, Mr. Hayden, we voted on minutes that depicted the meeting as it occurred. So that was not inaccurate. To approve those minutes was correct. I don't know why you're laughing at me, but those minutes accurately depicted what happened at that meeting. Now, since I've been here, for the whole life of this fund, the minimums have always gotten Social Security. The Social Security has never once exceeded 5%, but for last year. So you're correct in that the minutes did say 5.9, but immediately we learned that 5% was the maximum. Letters were sent out to all the members explaining that. The municipal order that was presented to this city commission to approve the rate correctly reflected the 5%, limited by state statute. And then the last comment that I had from you, who put the police chief on this pension board? Our city attorney then and our city attorney today both looked at KRS 95.869 that determines who may sit on that board. It was determined due to the lack of individuals able to sit on this board, if there was not someone that could sit on the board, that we could look to an active individual who would represent this board. So where we could not find someone from the police side, our police chief then is sitting in for that. I'd like to add that our city clerk has worked in ad nauseum trying to find someone to sit on the board. I know our HR manager spent 2 days making phone calls to the widows of some of the board member or the pensioners, and to no avail. Mr. Hayden, could we find anyone who would be willing to sit on the board? So that left us to do this research and come to the conclusion that having our police chief on the board was the appropriate thing to do. So that is the notes, the primary comments that I had gleaned from the last meeting, and those are my responses. And I would ask Mr. Hayden or anyone else who has any concerns or any questions, I am more than happy to meet with you. I'll give you all the time that you want. I'll bring reports. We can sit around a table and we can collaborate and look at numbers and talk. But this is not the venue for that level of detail, but I did want to give you those responses, Mr. Hayden. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Commissioner Maglinger.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything to add tonight.
Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright. Commissioner Smith-Wright.
I just wanted to say that I attended the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame I just wanted to say that I attended the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame monument ceremony yesterday. It was very, very nice. It's a beautiful monument. It adds to our downtown. And also, I would encourage everyone who can attend the Moneta Sleet Through His Eyes exhibit at the River Park Center that's going to be going on the 24th and the 25th of this month, next week. Thank you.
I think we're actually going to have the little girl that
Yes.
was the
in one of the pictures. Yes.
She's going to be in town. It's cool.
Well, she's not a little girl anymore, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
former
I
little
got
girl.
you. Former little girl. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Sure. Commissioner Kessler.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I too attended the Veterans Hall of Fame monument that was unveiled. It's a beautiful monument, as Commissioner Pam Smith Wright said. It's next to the convention center for anybody that wants to go look at it. It's kind of tucked away a little bit back in behind some bushes, but it's a 3,000-pound black granite, and it has 15 individuals' names on it right now. And those individuals are honored not just for serving during wartime, but also for serving after wartime and being active in their communities and with the veterans. So it's kind of an additional monument for those that have already passed, and it's very beautiful. Also on the Moneta Sleet festivities coming up this weekend. I'm sorry to say I won't be able to make it to that. I'll be out of town, and I've been very active with Moneta Sleet activities in the past, and really wish I could make it. But anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Glenn?
Yes, I also attended the memorial unveiling, and I agree it's a beautiful structure and a wonderful tribute to our veterans who have worked so hard after their service to move veterans' issues forward. And I believe there were 3 or 4 from our county who are emblazoned on that, including Sam Bird. The second thing I want to highlight is that I attended the Boys and Girls Club Chili Cook-Off, and it's a wonderful event. A lot of people. They gave donations to 3 groups that won based on their chili. Angela's Angels, St. Benedict's Homeless Shelter, and the Opportunity Center. It was a very nice event. And I would also want to point out this weekend we should be full as a city. We have the Firefighters Convention and a number of other events going on in Owensboro, so it's great to see our convention center active, full, and being used to its maximum potential. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. I was with the governor last week, and he presented almost $5 million to 61 nonprofits out of federal money from ARPA funds, which was greatly needed. It was a really cool thing. And attended the State Chamber of Commerce dinner in Lexington, and got home about midnight. I thought I was going to die before I ever got home. It was such a long day, but it was very well attended. The governor spoke there again, and trying to let you know that we as a group are trying to project ourselves as far as we can into Frankfort, and making sure that they know that they have access with us and we have access with them. So, having said all that, next item on the agenda. Did I get everybody? Mark, you got anything? Come on, man. Okay, members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of this commission. Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the benefit of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. This time, anyone who wishes to address the City Commission, please make their way to the podium to be recognized. Speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. We have a little beeper up here that will go off after 3 minutes. We'll ask you to be finished by then. Since the item is not on tonight's agenda, no response is required from city staff or the commission. At this time, I don't know, I was reading, I don't know which one got up there first, so.
I probably won't take as long, Mayor. My name is Dave Roberts. I live at 816 Cottage Drive here in Owensboro. I'm here to speak on behalf of the pickleball community. That may not be a big subject for you all, but I was looking at last week's city projects list regarding the indoor sports complex, and it includes a group of folks that they're wanting to seek input on a preliminary design, and it includes wrestling, gymnastics, soccer, dance, cheer, volleyball, basketball, archery. It left out pickleball. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the world, and we here in Owensboro have seen evidence of that. We have a local pickleball club, the River City Pickleball Club, which has grown over the last 3 or 4 years from 35 members to 400 members. And although we like playing outdoors, there are times in the winter when that's not very feasible. Rain and wind will also keep us off the outdoor courts. With the indoor complex design right now, I believe it's 5 basketball courts. You could actually fit 15 pickleball courts on that facility. In a typical morning, we have 60 to 75 players, for the most part retirees playing at different church, so that we're at their mercy as far as a venue to
No
play
pun
at.
intended.
And so we certainly want to be at the table when those public forums are called, because we think that during the morning weekday time frames when that facility is not going to be in use by tournaments, weekends, school kids that compete in these other activities, it'll be a perfect time for pickleball to take place there.
Thank you.
So we just want to be at the table.
Appreciate it. Altoff Merchant's one of my closer friends, so I get a dad blame earful of him.
He doesn't play
See.
much with us, you know. He's on a
Well,
national
but
scale.
he's the one that brought it here, I think. All right, thank you for your time. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Charlie Hayden, Pension Board firefighter,
Where's your address, sir?
1751 Pawnee Place.
Thank you.
The reason we don't talk to Angela Hermick at the time was because on October 17, 2012, it's in your minutes and your city attorney cannot find them. So let me read you the minutes of 2012. What she says is truth. Here's the truth of your minutes. Angela was here, Ed Ray, the assistant city manager at the time. He was no longer city attorney, but he was assistant manager, and Beth Cecil. Now, y'all act like y'all don't know what's going on. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. And all you got to do is go back to the minutes of February 13, 2012. And guess who was there? Pam Smithwright. And you don't know what's going on. She was there. Get your minutes and read them. That's bull. Now let's go back to February 17, 2012, Mayor. If you're so full of integrity and ethics, let's discuss 2012, just that one meeting. Statutory limits. This is the next to the last paragraph on page 1 of the minutes. And I'm sure your city attorney's looked this up. I'm sure he's doing his job. The last paragraph, Assistant Manager Ed Ray. You do know who Ed Ray is, don't you? It's all right, don't answer me. Statutory limits. We discussed them. And here's the 2 things that she did. She just said she couldn't give out the 2020 actuarial study. And yet, Ron Payne, J.T. Fulkerson, and Ed Ray give us the 2012, June the 30th, 2012 minutes, and they give it to us on October of 2012. 3 months. Ron Payne, Ed Ray, and J.T. Fulkerson could do it 3 months, and it took her over 2 years to get them out. Now, you think that's not garbage, and that's why I don't talk to her. Y'all pull all kinds of shenanigans up here. There's no integrity, there's no ethics, one lie after the other. Now, if you go down here let's go down to the next to the last paragraph. Mr. Ray stated a legitimate need.
Your time is up, sir. Your 3 minutes is up.
I want you to throw me out because y'all don't want to hear the truth. You need to have me arrested and throw me out. I'm going to make enough stink that y'all going to start abiding by the law. Why won't one of you have the courage to stand up and say, we'll listen to you? Why won't one of you listen to the minutes? Is there not one of you has integrity? Now, I think you better arrest me because I think I've gone as far as I'm going to go with this. Everything she said was BS. So the ball's in your court. If y'all don't want to listen, I'm going to sit here and make a fool of myself. And I'll be back next week, and I'll get arrested next week, and I'll come back till you start listening. And like I said, Mr. Ray stated there was a legitimate need for the board to exist between now and the exhaustion of the fund. Yes, I'm going to, because I've asked y'all to. No, I've had opportunities to talk to her.
So I'm going to ask you politely. I'm going to ask you politely to stop, okay?
No, you can arrest me and escort me out because I won't. No.
There's no need for that.
Yes, there is.
There's no need for that.
Listen. No. Listen. If a police officer did what they've done, they would be arrested, dismissed, and they'd be in the messenger inquiry tomorrow morning.
Do we have any comments from the rest of the dais, please?
Listen,
Or the public?
JD.
Okay.
No.
Jared, come on up.
I won't make a scene so much as stinks.
Yeah, sure.
Because this is a problem.
Path of least resistance.
The chief is part of the problem.
Or like to follow.
What you need to do is talk to
My
one of
name is
those
Jerry
commissioners up
Chapman. I
there.
live at 2601 Elwood Court here in Owensboro. And I brought reading materials, if I may.
No, don't do that. You know who I am, and I know who you are. We're not on the opposite sides.
No, sir, and that's why I'm saying I don't care.
Thank you, sir.
Do you not understand? I'm 70 years old. My life is over. How can I stop this crap? And you know it is. He knows it is.
In the packets are my full comments plus photographs and an article that I think you'll find interesting. June of last year, we asked you all to stop sending our tax dollars to the River Park Center until they stopped hosting drag shows. We're back again to ask, this time while you consider your budget for the upcoming fiscal year. 8 months ago, our values were dismissed. They deserve entertainment, you said. If you don't like it, don't go, you said. All the while, you're still sending our money to the river park. So this time, instead of sharing our beliefs, I thought the beliefs of Dr. Sarah Hankins might be more persuasive. Dr. Hankins, who you'll see in my full comments, is a highly regarded, highly respected, widely recognized leader from the LGBTQ community. Because I know you'll take the job we elected you to do as seriously as we do, I've made a copy of the article for you to read at your leisure. Following are some of the conclusions that Dr. Hankins reached. The article is entitled, "I'm a Cross Between a Clown, a Stripper, and a Streetwalker." Her conclusions are, drag performance can be divided into 3 categories: what she calls straight ahead, gender F word, and burlesque. Straight ahead's probably the most recognized form. This is the form typically presented at the Ghostlight Lounge. Dr. Hankins finds, and I quote, straight ahead performances draw audience members into all manner of illicit sexual relations. It allows the audience member to temporarily embody one or more of a number of bad or unnatural social positions. For instance, the pedophile or even sexualized child. Gender F word is what you see in the photographs from the Ghostlight Lounge's January show. These performers collect tips from their audiences via an array of uncomfortable exchanges in order that audience participants may internalize at a sensory or physical level experience of dehumanization. Can I have an extension, please? 2 minutes. I think I spent some of that time handing out materials. Thank you, sir.
I'll extend your time.
Dr. Hankins further observes drag performances share many of the same characteristics as sex work, like strip shows and prostitution, and you'll see those findings in the packets that I've given you. In summary, Dr. Hankins, in her article, concludes gender performance, which is also drag shows, is sex work. So in the very words of a leader from the LGBT community, drag shows are sex work akin to prostitution. Last I checked, sex work was a highly regulated, more often than not, criminal industry. Now, Owensboro doesn't exist in a vacuum. Hundreds of cities across our nation are facing the same problems that we are. They understand that normalizing this behavior will allow them easier access to our children. This is not about entertainment. This is about an agenda. I'm asking you to see these shows for what they actually are, not for what they're being portrayed to you as, not for what you're being told they are, but for what they actually are, an attempt to groom our children. Please withhold any further funding from them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak? Please go to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
You just get up. I've never been to this before.
Yeah, get up and bring me $5 and you're good.
I'm sorry, I've never been to one of these before, and I don't usually talk in public.
And you're probably not going to come back again after this. This thing. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Don't hit the button yet.
All right.
I don't talk. Okay.
You're doing fine. Just relax.
Who am I? Oh, yeah. I see you taking notes. Wait till I start taking notes. My name is Jamie Dixon, and I live at 3813 Steel Drive here in Owensboro. Well, thank you. This has been enlightening. I've never been to a meeting like this before. What? I meant like where, never mind. I also have bad eyes, so I brought my phone because I forgot to hit the print button on my printer. I live in I live in the arts world and I live in a very conservative Christian world. And so I have a lot of very good friends. I probably need an extension because I'm going to read this to you really quick. It's from the ordinances of our town. I have a lot of good friends who are on the pro side of the Ghost Light Lounge and its agendas. And I have both myself and a lot of good friends who are on the against side. And I thought for the last several months, you know, what can we do? Because we have people on both sides that are very adamant that they are right. And one of the things that is true is that this is not a new thing. So the pro side is saying consistently, this is normal for us. This isn't new. What's the big argument? And that's a true statement. We don't have to like it, those of us that are on the against or the conservative side, but it is a true statement. This isn't new. This isn't new to our community. And it isn't going to go away. It isn't going anywhere. But what we can do is we can look at the people in this town who have come before us. And so last night, after I got done teaching, I started reading ordinances. And I found Louisville first, which was harder than I expected. But here in this town, please don't let that buzzer go because my eyes are bad and this is very tiny print. It says in number 8.4, and if you're taking notes and I'm shaking, don't write down the stuttering part. 8.4, number 47, it has all of these rules about where various establishments can be. And it says, Part B says, no adult entertainment establishment shall be located within 500 feet of another adult entertainment establishment or within 500 feet of any residential zone, any school where persons under 18 years of age are enrolled, any child daycare center, church facility, or public park or recreation facility. Distance shall be measured in a straight line without regard to intervening structures or objects. Distance between any two adult entertainment establishments shall be measured from the nearest entrance door of the first adult entertainment establishment to the nearest entrance door of the second. Distance between any adult entertainment establishment and residential zone shall be measured from the nearest entrance door of the adult establishment to the nearest property line of the residential zone. Distance between any adult entertainment establishment and any school where persons under 18 years of age are enrolled, or child daycare center, or any church facility, or any public park or recreation facility shall be measured from the nearest entrance door of the adult entertainment establishment to the nearest property line of the respective school, daycare center, church facility, or park, recreation facility, unless such use occupies only a portion of property also containing unspecified uses. In such case, distance shall be measured from the nearest entrance door of the adult entertainment establishment to the nearest boundary of the immediate...
Ms. Dixon?
Yes, I'm almost done. One more phrase. Occupied by the school, daycare center, church facility, or park or recreation facility.
I guess I'm having a little problem understanding your point.
My point is that the answer that we are all looking for has already been put in the ordinance. The city has rules in place regarding a place like the lounge.
Okay, that's all I need. That's all I need to know then.
So its location in the river park is 200 feet from Smothers Park, but the city ordinance requires it to be further. Sorry.
It's open mic night. Anybody else? And if you all are kind of with Jamie, I'll allow 2 different people to talk, but I don't want to go through all of them if that's okay with you all, please, because I think we understand your stance. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Greg Cooper. I live at 2710 High Pass Point here in Owensboro.
Thank you.
I'll be very brief. We're not on the agenda regarding the lounge and regarding the activities at the River Park. How do we get on the agenda where it can be more of a focused conversation and opportunity to express our concerns? That's my question.
City Manager, I'm going to dump this in your lap.
Yeah, let us think through that strategically, because we're really, the items that are on the agenda are typically action items, and so it's not an actionable item. So if it's intended to be more discussion-based, perhaps a work session would be a better venue. Let us think through that, because we typically don't have public comment though at work sessions, do we? So let us think through that, understand your request, and we'll reconvene in the morning as staff and figure out the best way to handle that issue. But understood your request.
Okay. Do you have a phone number we can talk afterwards if you're going to stay a minute? Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Andy Gamblin. I live at 2920 Yale Place, the Roosevelt House. I've got 2 I want to say real fast. The first of all about the Senate Bill 50. I've ran for city commission before, nonpartisan. I know it's nonpartisan. And when I went up to doors, they've asked me, are you Democrat or Republican? And on my cards, I always have pro-life because I'm conservative. I'm a born-again Christian. And when I tell them I'm pro-life, they say, well, are you Republican, Democrat? Well, I'm a Democrat. Then get off my property. They say, well, because, and I'm going to be honest with you. I understand why, because the Democratic Party, I'm going to be honest with you, they left my values. In fact, my mom, she's 86 years old. Thank the Lord she turned 86 in December. Before that, she went down in Hopkins County and she registered, and she's Republican now. Because the Democratic Party, they're way out in left field. And I switched because I'm pro-life, I'm conservative, and I'm a born-again Christian. And I think it should be partisan. So I'm asking y'all to reconsider, and let's have it partisan. So that way people will know where we stand. Now, the other thing about this drag queen that's going on down at the Ghost Light Lounge, it is close to the park. Just recent, back before when y'all had your last meeting, y'all gave tribute to the, I think the Davis County cheerleaders. And I know y'all, you say you're supposed to be concerned about the young people. So if you are concerned, I'm asking you, please stop the funding at the River Park Center, plain and simple. Because in the Bible, the Lord instituted government to watch over the people. Not to bring in corruption, but to make sure everybody's safe. And when you allow garbage like this down at the River Park Center and our young kids can see that, that's not good. So I'm asking y'all, please, stand up for the Lord, do the right thing, and stop the funding. Please, I'm asking y'all. There's one that says he's a minister, then do the right thing. There's another one that goes to church. If you love the Lord, do the right thing, please.
Thank you, Mr. Gamblin.
One more thing. We just seen in Asbury an awakening. There's an awakening that's happening. It's time we as Christians stand up and do the right thing. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay, anyone else like to speak?
my name is Mike Hamlet. I live at 6160 Sutter Loop West. I've been a resident of Owensboro and Davis County most of my entire life. I just want to speak about what's been going on at the riverfront, at the river park. When I was a kid, my parents used to take us downtown to the park, and that was like the focal point of the town. That everybody knows that our riverfront, we're proud of it. It's a beautiful place. It's a bend in the river. It's got a playground. And on the subject of adult entertainment, that's why I wore this vest, to let everyone know that we're not just a bunch of conservative Bible thumpers here that think, oh no, it's not about trans or gay or anything. There's so many different alternative lifestyles in the world today. We have to embrace everybody. That doesn't make it right or wrong. We have to accept it. Okay? And I accept it, and I understand that adult entertainment has a place in our society, but it doesn't have a place at our riverfront. That's all I've got.
Okay. Going once? Going twice? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I have a second, please? Second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.